Among other things, I'm a cyclist. I just climbed to the summit on my bike this past Thursday. I feel the need to climb up it about once every year or two. Thursday's ride up was on a whim. I really hadn't thought about it until a couple days prior. The weather was good, my wife was on board, I went. That's the way it should be, not to have to get a permit 45 days in advance. There's no reason that I can possibly conceive of why you feel the need to restrict bikes on the mountain. There's no damage, no noise, no danger to anyone but the cyclists themselves. I feel safer riding up there than I do on the Queen K in Kona, where fellow cyclists have been hit at an alarming rate. Besides, my safety is my concern and my concern only. Mauna Kea is one of the hardest climbs in the world, and it's in my backyard. A few hardy cyclists from all over the world come to attempt it, but their numbers are small. I didn't see another cyclist all day on my climb Thursday. What I did see was quite a few rental Jeeps. If you really want to lessen the impact on Mauna Kea, Waipio Valley, and Greensands, get the rental companies to stop renting Jeeps. But they may be too big of a foe. Easier just to go after the recreational crowd, not big business. Tourism is changing. Beaches and hotels will only take us so far. The way government is going after vacation rentals and alternative recreation is not the way to the future. It's a path to ever dwindling tourist numbers, and like it or not, that's what drives our economy. Between this attack on Mauna Kea recreation, the DNLR putting up gates and requiring permits, the national park painfully slow to reopen trails, to me, the Big Island just keeps getting smaller. Thanks.
Next testifier is Jillian Maronek, followed by Corey Hardin, Catherine Robbins, and Tom Peak.
Hi, I'm Jillian Maronek, and I'm worried about how the Ice Age Natural Area Reserve, where my favorite hiking trails are to Lake Waiau, I'm worried about how it gets cut off by your management corridor along the Mauna Kea Access Road. This is a public reserve and not a fee area. You have no jurisdiction over it, and you'll be essentially holding it hostage if you start blocking the road or charging entrance fees just above the visitor center. We won't be able to get to it anymore. It just doesn't seem right. It's like cutting off shoreline public access. And in general, I think these rules that supposedly protect the mountain should be scrapped, because the only people damaging the mountain are you, and you've exempted yourself from the rules.
Next testifier is Corey Hardin, followed by Catherine Robbins, Tom Peak, and Stephen Palmier.
Good evening, everybody. Corey Hardin, C-O-R-Y and H-A-R-D-E-N, speaking for myself. The UH deserves credit for rewriting these rules and for holding more hearings, but the rules, unfortunately, are still deeply flawed. The rules should state explicitly that Native Hawaiians have the right to exercise protected, customary, and traditional rights. If not, people may assume that access for these rights has to follow the general rules. Since UH management allowed decades of severe impacts to Mauna Kea, it's not right that UH and its agents and students are exempt from following the rules, and it's not right that UH is writing the rules. The Department of Land and Natural Resources is the one that should be writing and administering these rules, not UH. UH's stated purpose is education, not protection of natural and cultural resources. UH lacks expertise in protecting resources and has conflict of interest. To provide education, UH wants as many telescopes as possible. The rules should follow the access plan in the comprehensive management plan. The access plan calls for education, communication, and collaboration when using the lowest levels of control, and calls for discretion when you go to higher levels of control. But instead, the rules are punitive, giving inadequate definitions of violations, and calling for stiff fines and expelling people from UH areas. The original purpose of the rules, as the state auditor said a long time in the past, was to address permit violations by observatories and to address increases in traffic largely caused by commercial tours. And the rules need to be redone to reflect the original purpose. And the rules should be approved by the Board of Land and Natural Resources before going to the governor for his signature. Number 37, camping. These rules would make it impossible for practitioners to observe the stars over the course of the night. Number 38, access, talks about a gate on the road, but the university's easement on the road does not include the right to block access. Number 61, general provisions, 38, access. There's a lot in these sections that could be used to restrict First Amendment rights to free speech and assembly. Number 62, group use, requiring groups of 10 or more to register with UH 15 days ahead to get insurance and indemnify UH against liability. If you apply that to people exercising First Amendment rights, that could be unconstitutional. And 66, commercial films and recordings. Journalists have been barred in the past from news events on Mauna Kea, but they should not need a permit to cover these events. We do have constitutional freedom of the press. Thank you.
Next testifier is Catherine Robbins, followed by Tom Peak, Stephen Palmier, and Kei Haolani.
Aloha. Aloha. I'm Catherine Robbins, Catherinerobbins, from Volcano, a hiker on Mauna Kea for over 3 decades, and whose oil paintings are often inspired by the mountain. Since 1995, I have testified to UH and DLNR against the university's relentless efforts to industrialize Mauna Kea. A 20-year swim against a tsunami of academic power brokers and developers. I remember well the notorious Don Hall days. I also remember that without the intervention of island residents, more than 100 additional telescopes and antennas would now scar the summit area. Shame on UH. Now we face a set of rules to regulate islanders' access, some of which would actually make criminals of Native Hawaiians and residents like me, just for being on the mountain in some way that UH deems inappropriate. So I oppose these rules, and here are just a few of the reasons. In section 2026-38B1, you state that the access road may be closed due to hazardous conditions that include construction or maintenance on or near the roadway or observatory sites, or because of roadway congestion. This rule will likely result in numerous new closures, especially during the many years of TMT construction. But the mountain isn't UH's or the observatories. It's ceded land. You have no right to lock residents out, and especially Native Hawaiians who have deep special relationship to Mauna Kea. In 2026-38B2, you say that access by private vehicles may be restricted, and that restrictions may include, but are not limited to, setting a maximum number of private vehicles allowed. Kama'aina should be exempt from this rule. A resident who wants or needs to go up the mountain in a 4-wheel drive should be welcome to make that journey. In 2026-61, you say that any group larger than 10 members shall be required to register with the UH president. Cultural practitioners should be exempt from this requirement. But my gravest concern lies in section 2026-73, a full fifth of the document, contains myriad provisions for how violators will be treated, not in a court of law, but by UH. 8 pages of gruesome detail about draconian penalties and fines. This is outrageous and wrong. Mauna Kea isn't owned by the university. Islanders have a right to be there. Thank you.
Tom Peak, followed by Stephen Palmier, followed by Kay Haulani, followed by Ilima de Costa.
Aloha kako. I'm Tom Peak, long ago an astronomy guide for the observatories and an eyewitness to 30 years of UH and DLNR malfeasance. Malfeasance driven by a combination of ethnocentric prejudice and unrelenting pressure from Hawaii's construction and tourism industries. Given that unsavory history, I challenge the legitimacy of these rules and the Office of Mauna Kea Management that created them. The seeds of these rules were planted in a notorious time when a blistering 1998 legislative audit finally exposed decades of UH and DLNR malfeasance. 10 years earlier, when I was beefing up our fledgling visitor information program, restricting Islanders' access was definitely not supported by the mountain's astronomy staff. We knew that Islanders had long feared that astronomy would take over the mountaintop, and we all understood that Mauna Kea belonged to them long before we showed up. That understanding was upturned by UH President Kenneth Mortimer and Institute for Astronomy Acting Director Bob McLaren, in their defensive, I would say even vindictive, response to the audit. Mortimer and McLaren and the BLNR chair denied most of the auditor's conclusions, blaming the public for whatever problems existed. And they proposed the first public access limits similar to those in these administrative rules. Sierra Club's Nelson Ho called that scapegoating the public rather than dealing with the industrialization and the commercialization of the summit. But even more disturbing, UH proposed creating their own management agency, an entity they could control. The Office of Mauna Kea Management was never intended to restore balance on the mountain, but instead to use sham planning and carefully contrived cultural consultation as political cover for building more telescopes and to begin limiting non-commercial access to the summit. Sierra Club, Mauna Kea Anainaho, the Royal Order of Kamehameha, Kalahui Hawaii, and others opposed OMK's creation because of its obvious conflict of interest, a fox guarding the henhouse. Instead, they proposed a wholly new management agency in which statutory right holders of this ceded land would manage the mountain on behalf of the public and native Hawaiians, rather than astronomers, tour companies, and the construction industry. But old boy politics prevailed. These rules are part of that unsavory history of malfeasance. Tools to completely take over the mountaintop, as Big Islanders feared in the 1980s, and to further empower an illegitimate OMKM. If enacted, the rules will almost certainly end up in court, as they should. And you regents will be tainted, as you should. Instead, please reject this rulemaking charade and embrace Hawaiian proposals for a new management agency that has no conflict of interest, and distance yourself from this OMKM mess. Mahalo.
Stephen Palmier, followed by Kay Haulani, Ilima DeCosta, and Shanna Logan.
Aloha Aina. I fear that the promulgation of these rules is an effort to prepare for an unsavory and inappropriate activity regarding the effort to put the 30-meter telescope on the top of the mountain. I think that this is a preparation for something that does not have to happen. And the university can now become, it's an opportunity for the university now to lay down these rules, accept a very, very articulate plan that was just presented, and be a real example to the young people who should be allowed to go to the university and expect an example that takes responsibility, not one that follows the example of the 1893 takeover and then takes over the Mauna. This is inappropriate. It's inappropriate of an institution that pretends to be educating young people. Example is the way we all educate our young. Right now, the university has a wonderful opportunity to make an example, admit that they were wrong about ruling or making any rules about the Mauna, and humbly and with aloha, suggest that a new way should be. I ask you to seriously consider this. These present rules and the rules that came just before these rules are hastily put together, very obviously, and are undeserving of your leading to be an example to young people. Mahalo. Aloha Aina.
Kay Haulani, followed by Ilima DeCosta, Shanna Logan, and Hanale Fergerstrom.
I actually just came here to film, but while I'm here, I could pass a message on to you. I've been passing it on to the Army, the Navy, and all U.S. incorporated subsidiaries as yourselves. Mauna Kea is Crown lands. Crown lands are private lands of the monarchy and their descendants. The state of Hawaii has no authority in the Hawaiian kingdom. I never read your rules. They don't apply to me. They don't apply here at all. Don't care about your rules because you have no authority to make them and to enforce them. What you do need to do, and I pass this message along, is choose a new career. Because the career that you are undertaking is a criminal one. Every time you guys represent a subsidiary of a corporation that has been known globally to invade, to oppress, to pollute, to destroy all life forms, you are complicit in anything they do by acting on their behalf. We are on the winning team because we choose to stay connected to our Creator, one another, and all of creation. His team always wins. It's time you join the winning team. Without people like you, they can no longer oppress. Without people willing for a paycheck, I have to feed my keiki, not by oppressing mine, not by destroying the land, not by killing us through ethnocide, genocide, and everybody here has been victimized because your boss, the United States Incorporated, wages war on all the people globally. They have destroyed our oceans. They have destroyed our ability to grow food, to hunt, to gather, to do all those things that real people do in real life with no shame. And they continue to do it. Their goal is to eradicate us. We're like Kokis or Guavi, eradicate them. So, as I mentioned to the county council yesterday, they too are part of the problem. I don't appeal to you on a Hawaiian Kingdom versus United States level. I appeal to you on a human-to-human basis. Don't think that you and your children aren't being harmed by all this. Don't think that anything good's going to come out of you working on their behalf. Start making moral decisions based on human principles of treat each other the way you'd like to be treated. Thank you.
Ilima DeCosta, followed by Shanna Logan, Hanale Fergestrom, and Nelson Ho.
Aloha. Mahalo for having me today. My name is Andrea Ilima DeCosta, and my family's moku auhau is actually Ka'u, Mo'ukoku, and Kaliko Koko by way of Kaneohe and Kailua, Hawaii. When I woke up this morning, I didn't expect to be here with all of you today. This was the last thing that I wanted to do, to be in a room full of strangers necessarily, but to a certain extent, I felt it was really important for me to be here as a Kanaka Mauole to let you know that I oppose any efforts to create any kind of rules, administrative or legislatively, that would give anybody the impression that Mauna Kea is the property or under the control of either the University of Hawaii or even the state of Hawaii, seeing as the state of Hawaii is not a legitimate entity to begin with. So with all due respect, I appreciate all of the time and effort that each one of you has put into this. I know that you're probably very well-intentioned in wanting to provide a safe space for everyone to enjoy, but the Mauna is a sacred space and it should not be commercialized or weaponized. Enough is enough, so please just leave our Mauna in peace. Mahalo.
Shanna Logan, followed by Hanale Fergestrom, Nelson Ho, and Io Kepa.
Aloha, my name is Shauna Wailana Logan, and I am here to just say a few things, a couple of questions as well. First of all, we're here to talk about management rules of Mauna Kea and the protection of cultural and natural resources. And I would like to say that the people are also a cultural and natural resource, and we should be considered in every environmental impact statement moving forward. Our voices and the effects on us, water, land, housing, economics, everything that happens to a Hawaiian should be studied just the same way as the Vikiu bug. Okay. Second thing is I have a question. I'm reading through the rules and nothing gives authority to DLNR officers, unless I missed something, to have weapons. And I'd like to know where the data is. This is a question that I hope will be answered. Where is the data saying that those weapons are needed? And who are they threatened by? Are they threatened by animals or Hawaiians or Kanaka people? I'm just wondering what weapons are being used for. So, and the last thing is, I'm very against having a permit to get to a natural resource, especially since nobody owns the natural resources. and we should be able to enjoy it at any time if we're not doing anything wrong. So thank you so much. Aloha.
Annalie Fergestrom, followed by Nelson Ho, Io Kepa, and Jeff Shaw.
Aloha mai. I'm Annalie Fergestrom. I'm the spokesperson for Nakupuna Moko Keawe, a kupuna or elders organization with representatives from all 6 districts of the island of Hawaii. Were established and published since 2003. The United States of America and the state of Hawaii has yet to provide any internationally acceptable proof of a lawful authority, such as a treaty of annexation with the Hawaiian Kingdom government. To assert United States jurisdiction and operate within the geographic boundaries of the Hawaiian Kingdom. The Hawaiian Kingdom is a lawful, internationally recognized nation-state on the same international footing as the United States, France, England, China, Japan, Russia, etc. At best, the presidents of the United States illegally operating within the territory of the Hawaiian Kingdom could only be internationally recognized as an international military occupation. As such, the United States and its subsidiaries at the state and the county are subject to the international laws of military occupations, especially regarding the execution of laws in occupied countries. Regarding the proposed rule change presented by the University of Hawaii seeking adaptation into the Hawaii administrative rules. Firstly, the University of Hawaii has only a lease agreement with the State Department of Land and Natural Resources, which is set to expire in 2033. The university does not have lawmaking authority for lands it simply leases. That task is the responsibility of the State Department of Land and Natural Resources, who does not have an authority to pass this law-making authority to another entity that is not a department of the state without being in breach of its own fiduciary responsibility. The proposed rules are simply unacceptable and full of obstructions, limitations, and pose unnecessary hardships specifically designed to affect the ability of the Hawaiian practitioner to access their most sacred location, the summit of Mauna Kea, the realm of the gods, the realm of Po. Hawaiians have traditionally gone to the summit of Mauna Kea to participate in sacred ceremony, to commune with the gods and ancestral deities, to study sacred stars that give bearing to the sacred resources such as water, movement of magma, and overall health of our islands. These things I speak are not new, but rather etched in time immemorial. These things I speak of is not only well known, but our rights to access these areas are codified in the Constitution of the State of Hawaii under Article 12, Section 7, and numerous other laws protecting the rights of Hawaiian people. Even Hawaii Revised Statute 1-1 protects Hawaiian usage and Hawaiian judicial precedent. The University of Hawaii appears to assume that it has a right to establish law enforcement capabilities. There is no public conversation of establishing another law enforcement agency, and certainly no conversation as to how it is to function and through what manner of law enforcement training that will be required to conduct their assignment. What are the required credentials for even an application to participate in law enforcement duties on our most sacred mountain? What I'm pointing out here is that there are so many unanswered questions. There's no input invited from the public to help formulate a process. If one even needed, I'm sure that the university has not even looked into fundamental requirements of setting up a law enforcement agency. The most glaring thought through this entire effort is the word liability. Liability, liability, liability. Remember, this is our country, not yours. Mahalo.
Nelson Ho, followed by Io Kepa, Jeff Shaw, and Stop Genocide.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nelson Ho. Since 1995, Sierra Club and I have opposed the Department of Land and Natural Resources and the University of Hawaii's mismanagement of Mauna Kea. Back then, I continued the efforts of kupuna who have preceded me in fighting the degradation of the summit ever since the first telescopes were placed on the mountain in 1970. This controversy and battle is not new, and it will continue. I am opposed to the proposed UH administrative rules before us tonight, even though it has been altered several times. These proposed rules still attempt to criminalize customary and traditional practices of Native Hawaiians and to improperly keep the public off the mountain. It still ignores the true needs of maintaining the integrity of Mauna Kea. I join with the hundreds of testifiers providing detailed comments, pointing out the deficiencies of the UH process and proposal. I concur, adopt them as my own, and will not repeat them here. The UH is not ready to promulgate any administrative rules governing the public use and access to Mauna Kea. Substantial, significant, and adverse environmental and cultural impacts have occurred and continue to occur due to the industrial nature of astronomy on the summit. This degradation is not being adequately addressed. The UH can't follow its own rules. Decommissioning subplans required by your own comprehensive management plan are still a joke. Its implementation is shoddy, and one example is there are still unlined cesspools at the summit, and there is no action being done to protect the waters beneath the summit. The drive to maintain hegemony and impose your ethnocentric prejudices on this unique mountain have distorted even the Supreme Court of Hawaii. Their first ruling in December 2015 recognized that Hawaiians have rights above the other citizens of this state. The court's final 2018 ruling reversed that and said that UH and industrial astronomy have every right to continue incremental natural and cultural resource destruction above and beyond all other rights of citizens and Hawaiians. The UH has no moral authority to continue to manage Mauna Kea to the end of the current lease in 2033. The lease, in fact, should end now. No new leases should even be considered to allow the International TMT Consortium and industrial astronomy to continue indefinitely. Do you and the TMT Corporation think that these rules will stop thousands of people from protecting their Mauna? Donald Trump is now pushing to imprison protectors of Standing Rock with punitive 20-year jail sentences for standing against an oil pipeline going under an Indian water reservoir. Is the UH, DLNR, the governor, and the TMT Corporation willing to go to that length to force your views and desires on Mauna Kea. We will see you in the courts, in the world media, and on the Mauna. Mahalo. Thank you. And I mahalo all the protectors around the world for sacred sites. Thank you.
Io Kepa, followed by Jeff Shaw, Stop Genocide, and Deborah Ward.
Aloha kako. Good evening. Naohana. Io Kepa Ka'el, on behalf of the Beneficiary Trust Council, all 6 districts, waitlisters, 9,000 and growing, who are suffering on the waitlist and dying. So, to the proposed rules. As you guys heard, that the proposed rules are based on imagination that you guys would like to see fit and placing us on a criminal board. We cannot have that. And so with the approval of our waitlisters on Moko Keawe, we have our own proposed change rules. The university needs to owe money to all the beneficiaries who go to college and complete in good faith. We need homesteads. As you go up to the Mauna, you guys talk about access, where people get arrested, people get bullied, and you have ex-billionaire chairs, William Isla, who's working in the department that shows a criminal history of the neglect and the continued abuse. He has left the department, but the department is still staggering. He moved over to Hawaiian Homes. The Kanaka Rangers, mahalo to all the Kanaka Rangers, kupuna, wahines who came up to do the data collection. These data collections are referred to the wastewaters. 1,200 to 1,300 was before the lava flow. Where is all that kukai going? Is there a proper waste management plan that been neglected or has been put to the side? So these are the things that we have collected. We have helped. We have brought insight with this data. And to see that these rules are coming out to incriminate the beneficiaries who seem to not have any access to it. We only have one question. If the Mauna Kea parcel, the big circle, and the TMT, and all those other telescopes are in the middle, how do they get access? Whose parcel is that? Whose land does that belong to? That is the question, is who does those land belong to? Because you're going to call it crown, we're going to call it ceded, but that belongs right in the Admissions Act of 1959. And it describes to you guys the process. And the process is very quite clear. And I want you guys to read it. I want you guys to understand it and comprehend it and not just play these facade. Because there's people dying, there's casualties every day. My auntie is still waiting for a grave set, and there's more people that are passing away. To restrict access would be impossible. To have 10 of my family members who come in hana, come and gather, or do whatever they need spiritually, you guys are not allowed to monitor and regulate those things. These things come from our kupuna and keakua. And this is not a direct shot at any department because everybody has failed. And if everybody has failed, then we all shall work together to make this succeed. But the Kanaka must lead the way. Mahalo.
Jeff Shaw, followed by Stop Genocide, Deborah Ward, and Jim Alberton.
Thank you for being able to pronounce my name. Okay. The proposed rules for Mauna Kea should preserve the mountain from further intentional degradation and protect the rights of Kanaka Maoli who view the mountain as sacred. The astronomy community has caused too much harm to the summit region and the collective psyche of the indigenous people to deserve to have their interests protected by these rules. Humanity is at a crossroads where we have to be critical of our relationship with the land that supplies all our needs, and we have to discontinue the abusive relationship with that land and the native inhabitants that understand that they are servants to the land, not vice versa. There is no planet B. We need to take care of this planet, first learning the lesson from the countless indigenous populations that never lost sight that nothing is more important than family, community, and their surrounding environment. The Hawaiians developed a social structure during the decades and centuries of isolation that could be a model for survival with the diminishing resources available to us because of uncontrolled human intervention to the environment. The University of Hawaii should live up to its goal of becoming the leading indigenous institute of higher learning instead of bending over backwards to provide access to sciences that diminish the indigenous beliefs. If the people drafting these rules can't create rules that protect Mauna Kea and the rights to those who believe the mountain is sacred, then maybe the wrong people are in charge of the process.
Stop Genocide, Deborah Ward, Jim Alberton, and Mark Van Hukelum.
Aloha. My name tonight is Stop Genocide, a PhD student at the university right now. Definition of genocide: a coordinated plan of different actions aiming at the destruction of essential foundations of the life of national groups with the aim of annihilating the groups themselves. I want to mahalo the university for the proposed rules because they gave me a good piece of evidence to use to actually support this claim. But that's not where I want to start. No, because they keep changing it, and it's great to see the changes, but it's still genocide because it's annihilating the essential foundation of my real name that is too sacred. That's why I called my name Stop Genocide today. But once you know my name, you're gonna know why I do what I do. So anyway, if we, what's really funny is UH is supposed to help Hawaiians, but then in the proposed rules, they actually are violating the 1921 Hawaiian Homes Commission Act and the Admission Act of 1959. But what hurts me even more is I'm the last example of genocide in my family. After I die, there'll be no more 50%ers in my family. So the 100%ers in my family are already extinct. They're extinct. My family will never be able to go back to 100%. So that is genocide. Yeah? And it started in 1893 when our government was overthrown, taken. And I can't see why in 2019 the university still wants to exist and not address that essential fact that continues unresolved. If anything, that's what the discussion should be tonight. Because when we solve that, all of this disappears. We won't have any of this. But to make like that didn't happen and to continue like it's in the past and it doesn't hurt us, I'm telling you it hurts us. All the Hawaiians are here because it continues to hurt us. But what hurts me even more is to know that the university leases what should be the highest price per square foot in the entire Pacific for $1. They get it for $1. And then they make a profit off of it. I'm a 50%er. I've been on the list for 20 years. Where's my dollar deal? If I gotta wait 20 years, you gotta wait 20 years too. I need my dollar deal rehabilitation that Prince Kuhio created. Only now I understand why my grandmother taught me the word ha'ole. It means lifeless, life without breath, taking, not giving, not putting back. And the more this continues, UH just portrays themselves as ha'ole, or lifeless. Mahalo.
Deborah Ward, followed by Jim Alberton, Mark Van Hukelim, and Millicent Cummings. Deborah Ward? No, going once? Okay.
I tried to get it printed, but my printer stopped working. My name is Deborah Ward, and it's DeborahWard. And I've been involved with Mauna Kea since the early 1970s, and I've been on the Environment Committee of OMKM for 18 years, and I'm currently Sierra Club Chair. The last telescope built on Mauna Kea was built in 1997. There have been 13 more proposed since then. By 2003, when the first NEPA EIS was written, the cumulative damage to natural and cultural resources due to the industrialization of the summit was identified as significant, adverse, and substantial. The residents, the practitioners, and the visitors were not responsible for the damage. The university bore the responsibility. Let me cite some examples. The university was the entity responsible for development of roads and structures, the extirpation of habitat for endemic insects, the introduction of invasive insects from high elevation parts of the world where other telescope parts were sourced, the leveling of pu'u to make room for facilities, removing 40 feet of geologic features, the failure of the university to live by conditions set out in the approved management plan, the rampant wind-blown trash, the filling of a crater, which was once prime habitat of an endemic insect of great interest to science, the discharge of toxic and hazardous substances on multiple occasions, namely hydraulic fuel, mercury, and sewage, leading to the pollution of the underlying soil and water, the noise, the dust, and the disturbance of cultural artifacts, the destruction of cultural shrines, the interruption of spiritual practice, the removal of ahu built by native practitioners, the blight on the landscape of 22 buildings viewable from large parts of the county, the commercialization and excessive visitation of the summit for profit. The list goes on and on. We are all done. All of these were done under the purview of the university. And now comes the university promulgating rules to criminalize residents, practitioners, and visitors for actions that would otherwise be considered reasonable and rational. The university still proposes that every action taken by the university and its agents are exempt from the rules, while proposing that the rules are designed to protect the environment, natural resources, and culture. The rules are discretionary. This means they can be enforced selectively. The rules, according to this draft, would be adjudicated by the university, and any appeal would also be considered only by the university or its agents. The rules proposed that a violator would be responsible for the attorney fees and the court costs. The university, on the other hand, comes to the legislature and raises student fees so that their attorneys and court costs are covered by taxpayers. The Mauna Kea Comprehensive Management Plan advocates education, communication, and collaboration when interacting with the public. In the current draft, proposed administrative rules offer strict and poorly defined prohibitions of public activities with punitive fines and enforcement. Many activities currently practiced and long considered acceptable could selectively use to criminalize segments of the visitors whose views are contrary to those with the university, and the discretion to cite and enforce the proposed rules. are also discretionary. The second draft of the proposed administrative rules does not provide for the discretion outlined in the management plan. It does not provide for education or situational control, but amplifies the potential violation to the level of punitive fines, arbitrary exclusion, and immediate expulsion of members of the public from the UH management areas. I realize my time's up. I have a lot more to say, so I will present it in writing. Thank you.
Aloha kako. My name is Jim Albertini. That's Albertini. And I'm with the group Malu Aina. I will be submitting detailed written testimony, so tonight, given the time restrictions, I'll offer a summary of just a few key points. First of all, where are the UH Board of Regents? I attended this, there was one at the September meeting as well. All of them should be here, on all the islands. There should be hearings on every island. Where is UH President David Lastner? Nowhere to be seen. Let me cut to the chase. I oppose these administrative rules. These rules miss the mark. The key mark is that Mauna Kea is sacred. Nowhere in the proposed rules is this mentioned. Mauna Kea is sacred. Mauna Kea is the realm of Akua. In these rules, they attempt to violate the constitutional rights of Kanaka Maoli to access Mauna Kea for traditional, cultural, and religious practice, and the constitutional rights of those who wish to join Kanaka Maoli to protect the sacred Mauna by exercising free speech constitutional rights. These rules, let me put it this way. What other religious practices does the UH try to regulate? Do you try to regulate the Christians? Do you try to regulate the Buddhists? How come Hawaiian religious practice? Right? Hawaiian cultural and religious practitioners, not the university, not the Board of Land and Natural Resources, but practitioners who practice on Mauna Kea should be the ones making rules for protecting Mauna Kea. We definitely need rules to control commercial, industrial, military development on Hawaii's most sacred temple. And I look to the Hawaiian cultural and religious practitioners to guide us in that direction. Mahalo.
Mahalo. We're going to take a short break to give staff a chance to get to the restroom. So with your patience, we'll be right back.
Really great job on the pronunciation. Most people don't get it. So the spelling is V-A-N space H-E-U-K-E-L-E-M, as in Mary. So I've heard a lot of good things tonight. A lot of good things. I've heard good things from everybody who's come up and spoken tonight. Everybody has valid points. You know, I'm actually a big supporter of the UH. You know, my wife went to UH and graduated. My daughter went to UH and graduated. I went to UH and didn't graduate. But my stepfather was a professor at UH for 40 years. Was born and raised in Hawaii, first on Oahu, the last 20 years here. I've been a teacher and an educator of children here. I'm opposed to these rules. I'm opposed to these rules because, as many people have said, they basically give the UH permission to do whatever they want without punitive action, and they criminalize everybody else's individual activities on the mountain, or they make us go through the permitting process. 45 days for a permit is crazy. You know, as Todd said, we live here. When the weather's good, we go. You know, if the weather's not good, we don't go. Why do we gotta go through a 45-day waiting period for a permit, you know? And who's gonna decide, and on what grounds are they gonna decide whether that permit gets granted or not? I too am a cyclist. I don't usually use that access road. I usually go up R1 to R10 to go up the backside from Waimea and up into the cinder cones there. And I do stay on the paths that are four-wheel drive paths up there. To me, it's a spiritual experience going up there. It really is. You know, you go up there by yourself on your own power. You're freaking tired and exhausted, and the air's clean, and there's nobody else around, and you're one with nature up there. I don't know why bicycles are prohibited on the rules. It just says bicycles prohibited beyond Pohaku Loa or Hale Pohaku. I can't imagine why. We are not a danger to anybody else but ourselves. Most of us come prepared to take care of ourselves when we go up there. I bring food, I bring spare tires. I don't leave my spare tires behind when I change my tire. I don't leave my food wrappers behind. I can pack them out with me. I pack out junk that other people leave up there, like toilet paper and hoodies from hunters and stuff like that, and food wrappers and whatever else I can find and I can carry out of there. I don't feel that any cyclist is gonna, by the time they reach the summit of Mauna Kea from the sea level, because that's what we do, we don't have enough energy to cause any trouble up there, you know? Well, we're not gonna go grab any rock or anything and bring it back down the hill, you know, unless it's rubbish. We're not gonna go destroying any sacred sites. We're not gonna cause car accidents. I don't know why that's in there. It makes no sense. And it's also the thing about people hiking. What are hikers doing? You know, what damage are hikers doing up there that the UH hasn't already done? You know, and why is the UH not being held responsible? So I'm sorry I wasn't really prepared, and I'm sorry I went over time, and I didn't think I had quite that much to say. But mahalo everybody for showing up. I'm really glad to see everybody here.
Millicent Cummings, followed by Kamaki Rathburn, Dr. Noenoe Wong Wilson, and Ronald Fujiyoshi.
Aloha kako. Aloha everyone. Aloha aina. There's a couple of things that I would like to say quickly. These rules very articulately reveal how racist these institutions are, how illegal they are, and how little shame they have. They have as much shame as they have jurisdiction. Now, I don't know, but it seems like y'all think we're going somewhere. And the people that love the Aina are just gonna, you know, it's just quiet down, little missy. We've got this under control. And if we don't, we're gonna get some more money and some more guns, and we'll get it under control somehow. I don't know where you think we're going, but we're not going anywhere. And this mountain does not belong to anyone. It never has, and it never will. And the Aina is going to rock your world. It's going to rock all of our worlds. And these little telescopes are going to be like fleas on her back at some point, and you want to build another one. The industrialization and the militarization of Hawaii, of the world, has to stop. Anyone who does any actual thinking about that fact knows that that's true. Those who do not think about that and the consequences of continued militarization and industrialization, those are the ones making the money doing it. Those are the criminals who don't care about rules. What rules? Who cares about rules? You guys can't even follow your own rules. No one can follow your rules either, actually. We're done. We're done with this chapter. We got to move on. And the sooner you understand that we are not going anywhere, we are certainly not interested in these rules that are illegal and racist and blatantly, arrogantly ridiculous. The sooner you understand that we're not going anywhere, the better for you guys, so you don't have to waste. I just got up this morning, made breakfast for my son, my ka'i, and took him to work with me for 4 hours. And then I drove to Puna to another job, another 4-hour cleaning job. I have, these are all swollen. My hands are swollen. But that's what we do here in Hawaii. And then we come to a meeting like this about these kind of rules. Yeah, there's a lot of sublimating energy going on here. And I'm not even Kanaka Maoli. My parents, my grandparents were not part of the genocide. They were part of somebody else's genocide. But you guys are participating in genocide. And everybody knows it. And anybody who reads these rules is going to see exactly where you're coming from. And you could give a rat's ass about the Kanaka Maoli people and their rights. That it clearly illustrates. So maybe you ought to rethink the rules you keep concocting, that you won't even abide by yourselves, and let it sink in. That we love this place and we will not, on our watch it be destroyed for military purposes, for educational purposes, for whatever. For profit. Absolutely not. We're done with this chapter. Aloha aina, please get a grip and stop putting these ridiculous rules before these obviously thinking people that have human hearts, that are connected with their source. And Mauna Awakea is, stop fucking with Mauna Awakea.
Kamaki Rathburn, followed by Dr. Noe Wong Wilson, followed by Ronald Fujiyoshi and Mary Begier.
Aloha. Aloha kako. Mahalo everybody for showing up. Thank you all for what you're doing, but I just have to be honest here. To be honest. But before I get into that, I want to just take a moment, if everybody could join me, and I just take a moment, you guys, a few moments of silence for Kahu Oterangi, who has just passed, and he has been a very special part of this entire movement to protect the Aina here, and he's gone to the other side to join our other kupuna and Omakua. So just a moment of silence, everyone, please. Mahalo. So I don't know what to say that hasn't already been said today at another meeting. Throughout the years, I came back in 2000 from California. But before I go on, I would like to read this for one of the uncles who's too disgusted to come up here and talk to you guys. So I'm going to say it for him. And it's very simple, and I think it pretty much culminates, kind of brings together everything, what this really comes down to, besides all rules and all these different things and laws and all these different motivations that different people have. But it really comes down, your rules that you're talking about, it just comes down to what he wrote. It's perfect. The proposed rules are nothing more than an attempt to criminalize Hawaiians for being Hawaiians in Hawaii, and that's really the truth. You know? I mean, I could just walk away with that, but I'm going to say a couple more things. Okay, I wake up every morning, okay, and like most of us here, I'm not pure Hawaiian, whatever that really means, but I am Kanaka Maoli, you know, and I'm proud of that. And when I wake up in the morning, whether I'm tired or feeling peppy, whether I got late or not, or whatever's going on in my life, when I wake up in the morning, seriously, and I want to naturally greet the day when I look at the blue sky to turn my melatonin off and activate my electrical system and reboot it like it's supposed to. That's how nature works. And the mountain is part of that. Everything in nature is important, and science is only just trying to figure it out. But there's ancient knowledge, and it doesn't need to be broken down and compartmentalized and expert in this field and that field. No, we understand the creation. And the Hawaiian people understand that, and you guys need to draw on that knowledge. I know you guys talk about it. You know, there's aloha, mahalo, ka-ching, ka-ching. But when we really put the ha in the aloha, okay, It's not just a word. Okay, we're carving sounds, vibrations coming from our body, coming from the earth, all connected. So we just simply modify them and carve them to present a concept or a feeling or some message. And all I want to say to you guys, and it's nothing personal to any one of you, okay? Really isn't, okay? But being on this board or whatever this is, I think it just needs to like flip. Like, you guys need to come to the mic and talk to these people and ask them what kind of rules should be made. Because asking you guys is not really the right way to do it. You guys have expertise in different things, but it's not the same. When you go on the mountain, you're in a different realm, you know? And I'm not an expert, I'm just one person. But I've been going up that mountain since, you know, not that long, since 1987, 1988. And I've seen a lot of changes. And it was like when I was a little kid, when I was in Hawaii, I came to Hawaii for the first time, and I wanted to see Pele, and I wanted to see the volcano. I've been dreaming, visualizing all this stuff since I was a little kid. And I come to Hawaii in '67, and I see Diamond Head. I go from Tutu's porch on Kaunoa Street in Kapahulu, and I walk up Diamond Head because I'm going to go find the lava, find Pele, and I go up there, and my slippers broke already. I'm halfway up to the Keawe, all that stuff, the snail skeletons, everything. Get to the top. I look inside. What is that? Parking lot, lawns, cars, buildings. And I'm looking across the horizon. I'm only 7 years old, but now I remember where I was looking. I was looking at Kilauea. I was looking across the horizon to Big Island, to Moko Keawe. And, you know, it's been a journey for all of us, and we're going through this journey in life. And, you know, I love you folks just like I love all of them. But it's really hard to wake up in the morning and feel so freaking oppressed, you know? I mean, you know, I'm a man. I'm a warrior, a peaceful warrior. It's hard. It's stress, man. It makes you sick, okay? And when you go on the mountain, because I've been on the mountain many times, I've taken people on the mountain, I've been up there with people for different purposes. It's not just a mountain that's beneficial for science. Science is not the priority here. The creation is a priority, and altering is a priority. And I'm gonna tell you something else real quick, you guys, because, you know, I rant and rave about geoengineering, all that stuff, but I'm gonna tell you something. Poliahu's up there, right? The snow and the ice and all that, right? That ehu goes up, right? The ice forms on the ehu, but how does it do that? With a bacteria. There's a bacteria that allows ice to form. And it was genetically modified quite a few years ago. You might recall frostban, okay? So they have genetically modified the weather, whether you believe it or not. The ice has been genetically modified. Look it up, you guys, ice plus, ice minus. There's not supposed to be ice minus. But they use the ice plus, which is natural, to create the ice minus. And now they can control that. So you guys need to educate yourselves on geoengineering and all the systems that are in progress right now, all the contracts that are ongoing, all the things that are going on that this TMT is tied to. That aperture, the lens part, is from Lincoln Labs in Massachusetts. My father had a black passport, military intelligence, commander of Southern European military intelligence when he retired. Went in as a cook, and he came out a colonel. And I've been places that I probably wasn't supposed to go. So I know that there are things going on that other people hear about, or conspiracy theory. No, this is for real. You don't need to take my word for it. There's Google, you guys. Don't believe everything on Google either. You have to see who had, not the patent, where's the contract? Who's involved with the contract? What are they doing? And then you're gonna find out how telescopes, these huge telescopes, are more than a telescope. They can be used for many different purposes, okay? So look up solar furnace. There's one that's been in France in the Pyrenees Mountains for a long time. It's only 24 diagonal mirror, and they can create temperatures of over 7,000 degrees. So I'm sorry, my time is way up. Forgive me. Mahalo, everybody. Listen, you guys gotta really, really step back, and you gotta start looking at these things. No matter what's involved, money, whatever, it doesn't matter. Because you got children, and your children will have children. So don't think about what's supposedly important, what they tell you is important. Think about what is really important. Oxygen, water, aina, you know, all the things that we need to survive. Telescopes are cute. They're interesting. They're not necessary. I don't need to know what's going on in space. I need to know what's going on right here. What are you guys doing to our ice? What are you guys doing to our weather? Not you guys personally. What are you doing? But you guys are part of it. See, you're part of the system now. So you guys should be listening to us like you are, but not in the way it has been happening historically. You guys can make that change. You can throw these stupid rules out. Say, hey, this is a bunch of shabai. It's no good. We can't do this. That's what you really need to do. Thank you.
Dr. Noi Noi Wong Wilson, followed by Ronald Fujiyoshi, Mary Begier, and Ruth Aloha. Dr. Noi Noi Wong Wilson.
Aloha mai kākou. I'm Dr. Noi Noi Wong Wilson. Do I need to spell that for you? D-R-N-O-E space N-O-E W-O-N-G hyphen W-I-L-S-O-N. Okay, mahalo. So I'm here to speak in opposition of the rules. And first of all, aloha, alapaki. Yeah, good for you to be here by yourself representing the board and being willing to listen to your neighbors and family, because I know this is really a very emotional and challenging topic, and you're a new member of the board, right? Okay, so mahalo for being here and listening to this patiently. Let me tell you what being a doctor of philosophy is all about. It means that you spent a number of years studying a very small sliver of knowledge, and that could be knowledge on anything that you particularly decide to study. But when you achieve that degree, it means that you have achieved an excellence in education, an excellence in knowledge over a very small piece of the wide body of knowledge. And when I did my PhD at the University of Waikato in New Zealand, I studied Native Hawaiian well-being and its relationship for the people to the land. And so I'm here to tell you from my study that our collective and individual sense of well-being here as Native Hawaiians and as others who reside in this community and who adopt it as their home is very much related to the Aina and the welfare of the Aina, and that the development of telescopes on Mauna Kea is an intrusion into that sense of well-being, and it affects us in ways that are immeasurable. And you see that on every island that you're going to. You don't have to live on this island. You don't have to be so fortunate as we are as to be able to look up every morning and see the summit of Mauna Kea, to know that the Aina is being injured by the activity of man. And so that's a really key thing that I think we tend to gloss over. And yet it is key to the sense of well-being for Native Hawaiians, which affect everything about us, our physical, our spiritual, our emotional well-being. So that's the first thing I wanted to tell you. Secondly, I'm a cultural practitioner. My religion is Hawaiian. I practice on Mauna Kea, and as I do practice in other areas on the island. And particularly on Mauna Kea, when I read the current set of rules, all I could see was that I have been breaking every single proposed rule that exists there. My friends and I who practice on that mountain are there after sunset. Sometimes we're there at midnight on particular days of the year to do our ceremonies. We don't stand on the sidewalk or on the trail. Sometimes we go off the trail to particular places that are important for us for that purpose. We do our chants. We don't leave Opala behind. We're very respectful because that's how we practice, not because there's a set of rules that tells us how we have to behave. So we have broken almost every single one of the proposed rules already. And when I read the rules, all I see is a threat to myself personally, as well as to my friends and fellow practitioners. And the threat is arrest and monetary damage, you know, from the $250 fine to the $10,000 fine, depending on how often we go to our church to practice our religion. And so I've heard some of the speakers talk about the fact that there's no acknowledgement of cultural practitioners and religious practitioners on the Mauna. I'm not saying just add a few sentences and it'll make it all well. I think, first of all, the university has no business being in that place to manage the Mauna. And I know it's been said over and over again. It's like the fox watching the chicken house. Yes, absolutely it is. I don't know how you can come to any other conclusion. There needs to be, if there needs to be regulation, which I do believe there is, because I've been up there, this is kind of an aside, but I've been up there and saw the stream of vehicles that go up in the middle of the night with all the tourists from Japan and wherever, and they're doing who knows what up at the summit area above us where we are, and then coming back down in the caravan a few hours later. So there's that. There's the use of the toilet sanitation facilities, which are not necessarily built for that kind of intrusion. But at any rate, I don't believe the university should be the ones in charge. I think the university should be a user and have the same rules applied to them as applied to anyone else. There absolutely needs to be an acknowledgement for cultural practitioners and cultural users. And it's not, and as one of the speakers said, we're the ones who should tell you how we should practice up there, right? Okay, time is up. So mahalo, and thank you for listening.
Next testifier is Ronald Fujiyoshi, followed by Mary Begier, Ruth Aloha, and Jasmine Cabanilla.
Aloha, everyone. I think Noi said it all, so I'm being redundant, but I'm Ronald Fujiyoshi. I'm the retired pastor of the Ola First Hawaiian Church and the treasurer of Ohanaho Pakele. As long as the University of Hawaii is connected to the state of Hawaii and the United States of America, it must abide by the general principle of a separation of church and state. In other words, the state cannot dictate religion to anyone who claims to hold religious and spiritual beliefs unless it is restricting the fundamental human rights of others. The rules that are being proposed overstep the rights of anyone that believes Mauna Kea to be a sacred mountain. Of course, the rights of Native Hawaiians are protected by Article 12, Section 7 of the Constitution of the State of Hawaii and by the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America. These proposed rules for Mauna Kea should state very clearly that they do not apply to anyone who believes as part of their religion or spirituality that Mauna Kea is the sacred mountain. As a Christian pastor of the United Church of Christ, I cannot believe that the state of Hawaii or even the University of Hawaii would dare make rules that regulate the practice of our members. Thus, the state of Hawaii and the university should not be proposing any rules that regulate the practice of those who believe Mauna Kea to be sacred according to their religious and spiritual beliefs. Either the rules should state clearly that the rules do not apply to those who believe as part of their religious and or spiritual beliefs that Mauna Kea is sacred. It should rewrite these rules to clearly make this known to everyone. As written, the rules proposed for Mauna Kea are inadequate and should not be approved. The governor of the state of Hawaii has no authority nor right to approve these rules in this present form. Thank you.
Mary Bergier, followed by Ruth Aloha, Jasmine Cabanilla, and Mala Land.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here, those of you that are volunteering. I also want to thank the people that, even if you're being paid as our state employee to be here, I think it takes a lot of guts to work in that job these days. So mahalo to all of you. And I really respect and appreciate everyone here in the room. I've been following this process since the late 90s. Came from the mainland in 1975 as a 19-year-old, lived in Waianae, moved around a little bit because of my job, came here in 94 with my husband's job, and never realized how at home I would feel. And so thank you all for embracing me and my family. I was surprised as I started that process through a volunteer situation I was involved in, going to the hearings for the comprehensive management plan and then Mauna Kea management rules, to learn where the university was in fact failing to uphold their responsibilities with the lease. I just assumed that these people that had a higher education than myself and did all this would, of course, do everything correctly. And so then I, as a business person, talked to other business people and found that many of them had a similar surprise. And we took it upon ourselves then to become a little more organized about it and ask the university questions and go to their leadership and say, well, why and how come? And sometimes there was good reasons for management turnover or whatever. Sometimes it was just that somebody failed to do their job correctly. But the business people of Hawaii, and I don't mean business in the sense of money, but the people that are earning a living to take care of their children and have maybe a little better something for them someday, really started paying attention to what the university was doing. And we've continued to pledge that each year. The Hawaii Island Chamber of Commerce does an intentional vote when their leadership changes each year that yes, they will continue to watch what the university system is doing because it's the largest employer on our island and it's super important to East Hawaii, not only for financial reasons, but for educational reasons. I think that working with the UH system is sometimes very frustrating for business people, particularly entrepreneurs. I gotta talk faster. But then we have to learn patience because it's the government and that's democracy and we all need to be kind and respectful of that. This idea that this version of rules is meant to only address construction of a specific building project may seem as such, but I look at it really differently in that we said there were things wrong with the behavior when there was discussion of starting construction a few years ago, and I just see it as that the rules are addressing what we all said was wrong. And so I'd like to see us try to work harder on what's been provided to us and maybe some more focus on the cultural practitioner position in all of this. And I believe that we all have the same love and aloha for our island and our mountain and that we can do this together. I truly, truly believe that. Thank you.
Ruth Aloha, followed by Jasmine Cabanilla, Mala Lant, and Susan Rosier.
Okay, I'm going to start with the chant. Le honoko hauiki aloha ona hulu kupuna he ika pula aloha kui kamana kani ka leo o kamanu valo ika ilikai vehe o ke ala ho ia ke ala o kamauli pa aka pai pai o ke au malama lama Ho'ola ka loko aina o kamalino. Aloha mai ka ko, o Ruth aloha ko inoa o Mauna awa kea ku'u Mauna, o ka loko ku'u loko o kona ku'u aina kupuna, o kona kaimalino ku'u kai. Thank you for having us, and thank you for being here. You look so sweet. I feel so sad that you gotta take all this back. You had awamo that kuleana, brother. Mahalo. Aloha to the kia iohana. I miss you folks. So happy to see you. So we have 3 minutes, and every time I'm trying to think throughout my day, 3 minutes, what can I say that's gonna shake the na'a? Why? Because we no more time. We're already late. We're already trying to save the future, right? So I was thinking, okay, so I was thinking about these rules, and we keep calling them rules, rules, rules. But what they are, they're act of war upon the very existence of Kanaka Maoli, right? An act of war, right? Because we've gone beyond criminalization. We've been criminalized. It's happened and it's happening. Okay, so we're at the act of war. So what are the admin rules now? They're talking about rules of engagement. I'm a frontliner. You like learn about aloha? Where do he knew it? Come to the front lines. Let's talk about aloha over there. Let's talk about aloha when we put our families on hold, when we're quitting jobs, when we're getting blacklisted because we can't get hired again. Let's talk about that kind of aloha. Please tell me how to navigate those waters of aloha, because that's the waters that I stay in. I get aloha free, but I'm telling you, come to the front line should we need to go up to the Mauna, because that is where I'll be standing, and I will not be standing alone. I was thinking today, rarely I come to these things. Where Ige stayed? Where's Suzanne Case? Where is David Lassner? I was thinking, you know, they might be cowards. I was thinking, no, I don't think that. Where are they? Cowards. So now I'm going to turn to our Kia'i, right? Because we all know we've been preparing, right? What are these rules? These rules, they are that. But they're telling us our charges. Why? Because we're not going to go away. So when I see these rules, what am I hearing? I'm hearing that UH is proceeding. TMT is proceeding with their plans. So what does that mean we have to do? Ho'omakaukau. Get ready, folks. Get ready to ascend the Mauna because we will need to be there. And if you can't be up there, we will need your support. So this is a kahea. This is a kahea to all of our people throughout Hawaii, to our relatives abroad. We will need you. If you stand for peace, if you believe in indigenous rights, in peace for the earth, we will need you to stand with us and to spread the message of aloha. And so I turn to you because I ask you, please don't forget my face. Because right now, and for the past couple of months, ever since this all had unfolded, the state has been looking for more funds to increase their enforcement, allowing enforcement to expand their capacities. You know what we're going up to the mountain with? Prayers, chants, and songs. We're not armed. Who's armed? The folks coming up to meet us, to greet us. With what? Their weapons? Guess what? You guys lost your guys' minds. We up there with our keiki and our kupuna. You're bringing weapons. For what? No need. So I go in, because you got to think of the aloha aina that came before. And I'm thinking of Uncle Soli Niheu. And what I hear is Uncle Soli, everybody know Uncle Soli, what he said? How in are you? How in are you? Everybody ask yourself, how in are you? All in. Everybody, all in. I see you on the Mauna. Everybody be safe. Enjoy time playing down the Mauna, because when the time comes, I see you up top. Mahalo.
Next is Jasmine Cabanilla, followed by Mala Lant, Susan Rosier, Kehaulani La'a.
Mahalo nui e root. Mahalo nui e ala pakia. It's not easy. It's pa'akiki to lead the path. You leading and the va'a you steering right now. So mahalo nui, and I hope that you can follow your na'o in everything that you do with these people by your side. Because you know if you was on the Mauna, we would be right by your side. Anyways, I never know that I was going to come over here tonight, and it's hard. It's pa'akiki tu hahai follow my sister Ruth. I'm going to face you guys, though, because I don't like face my core to you guys. So alo to alo, and I'm close enough to these guys to stand by side with them, so they know how it might feel if they ever choose to come to our kia'i side and stand with us. Kupa'a on the Mauna. Eo to that. Okay, we'll go backtrack a little bit, because I get my pala pala. Aloha mai kako, Jasmine, kabanela ko inoa. It is my hope that you folks over here, were able to quiet your inner noise and be present as our people stood and stand before you to speak our truth tonight. I am too in opposition of the proposed rules, as are my keiki right now as I speak for them. I don't speak for any other Kanaka except for those who can understand and feel and articulate the words and the feelings that come out of this leo. Because it's not just me, it's my kupuna that stand, kupa'a next to me, and all those that came before us, and all those that will come after us, who are unseen, but as I always tell everybody, are very much felt. And that's who manifested us into thought, and that's why we kupa'a today. Okay, I have experienced enough of these spaces to know that they are not designed for us to be seen or heard in any meaningful way, which is a shame, because there is much to be learned by those kia'i who kupa'a for the Mauna and all of our sacred aina throughout Kopai Aina, especially for Mauna Kea, and have been since day one. Some before their physical births, definitely before my physical birth. The spiritual connections that we have to all our aina especially our Pico, Mauna Kea, and the surrounding lands, but in this specific case, Mauna Kea, the space in which you are proposing to implement rules is beyond your folks' comprehension, obviously. And to limit our direct spiritual and physical connection to that space is perpetuation of the oppressive systemic facade that unfortunately continues to exist in Hawaii, the facade that my brothers and sisters, cousins, have already referenced. Although my ohana, my keiki, and I believe in what is being labeled as the proper stewardship of Mauna Kea, or what we consider what would be aloha aina or acts of malama aina, I do not believe that UH, OMKM, DLNR, BLNR, but BOR, the president and or president designee, sorry, I cannot pronounce too, are the most righteous and qualified organizations, groups, and or individuals to take on that kuleana and or responsibility. The aforementioned have and continue to what Harry Kim, sometimes Larry, sorry, Harry Kim elegantly stated, trample on the souls of the Kanaka Maoli people. And this is evident now with this meeting, as well as the support of the proposed development of the TMT on our most sacred Mauna and Pico. How can you folks sit there with proposed rules, knowing the voices of over 60,000 people and many more unseen are saying no to the TMT and no to UH's management of the Mauna? How can you draft rules that you know are exclusive and impose on the rights of those Kanaka Maoli that are directly connected to this place? How can you draft rules knowing as academics the truth about Hawaii and that you folks have no authority to assert authority? How can you continue to support an economic stream and projects that, like Auntie Noi Noi said, directly and negatively impact the health and wellness of the environment and the people that call and will call this place home? Everything is connected, no matter how far we feel that we are from one another, and it's time for all of you, as well as ourselves, to hold each other accountable. This and never has been about pono management, stewardship, malama aina, or aloha aina of the Mauna. These rules are about limiting the people who are directly connected to lands These rules are about limiting the people who are directly connected to this land's access to that which is foundational to our spiritual being and the sources that sustain our lives. We aloha this aina, our Mauna, because we understand our direct, deep, spiritual, and vital connection to this place, our na'akua, our keiki, to one another. We aloha our aina because we are our Mauna. And it's time for you folks, as well as UH as its supporters, to stop to listen, and with all humility, to wake up and do what is right and say no to the rules that you folks have proposed. Me ke aloha pumehana.
Mala Land, followed by Susan Rosier, Kehaulani La'a, and Luana Jones.
Aloha. Aloha. Hello, everybody. Well, I call on the ancestors. I call on the ancestors. The ancestors are here. They're speaking. They're speaking right now without me saying anything. But you can feel it. You feel it in your heart. It's not something that has to be talked about. It's the feeling of knowing the circle that we live in, the cycles that we walk in. I was taught that Mauna Kea is, when we go there, we practice kapu aloha. I'm discouraged by you. I'm discouraged by the state of Hawaii. I'm discouraged by the University of Hawaii, the planning department. I don't want any of you to decide anything for us. You know, you've already shown me that you don't really care. You're not really caring for our continuation. I am a midwife. I am a home birth midwife. I help people have babies gently. I speak and teach people about hormones like oxytocin, the love hormone. Okay, this here is adrenaline. And adrenaline makes people like this. One of them has to be on top of the other one. It's not like this. Okay? From what I know of this land and these people, we live like this. We are connected. There's no way not to be. But your energy and what I experience from your organizations, I don't trust you. I don't believe in the rules at all. I don't really believe anything. I don't want you to be involved in the mountain at all. You know, I feel like we need a whole new set of people because we already don't trust you. We've been living that. And now these rules, well, you've forgotten that the mountain is our altar. Do you step on the altar? I step out on the altar every day when I step on this land. Do you not have the heartful feeling for the land? Are you just so interested in the stars and what's going to come? I mean, that is like nothing compared to the heart, compared to my fingers that can touch you. I can touch that mountain. It touches me when I lie down on it. Don't treat it like it's just a piece of thing. That doesn't feel good. It gives me a stomachache, and I am not going to get sick because of you. I'm not going to take that into my body. I'm going to put it back down because we know the mother is courageous. The mother can do one thing in 1 second, and all of you will be gone. So get off your high horses or think you're some cool thing because you're the university, and just get away from us. Just get away from the mountain. That would be the best thing for you to do, to just apologize and say, we have the wrong idea, we don't understand. I mean, that feels right in Mauna Au. I am here for the children. The children, remember? You were a child. Someone thought about your life before you came. I'm here for generations of children. I mean, come on, can't you hear them? Can't you see them walking up that mountain, chanting? Do you feel it? I mean, do you feel this? Or is it just like mental things, like how can I get on top of these people? Bull. I'm here for the children. I've been taught to care for 7 generations from now. And that's what I'm doing. Are you? No. You're caring for you. You're caring for whatever the answer is, but the astronomers are going to find. What about today? What about the words out of your mouth? Are they as beautiful as this mountain? Do you know how beautiful the gift is to be in location here? Why are you wasting your energy by wanting to control the people that have the most love in their blood, in their bones? I pray for you. I pray for us, and I'm glad all the ancestors are here because they're always here, and that's who we are, and that's who you are. You just forgot because of the buck, because of what you look like to somebody else. You have to admit you're wrong. You have to admit you made a mistake. I mean, we don't align, unless, women, they talk about it. They'll get it out. And if they did something wrong, they're going to say it. And that is the only way you can right your whole being, is to admit when you're wrong. I think you all ought to say it. We don't want anybody, none of us want to be leaders anymore. We are sorry. And then the leaders will come. Because the leaders are Hawaiian, okay? Because this is their land. This is the land. I live in Honolulu. They've told me 200 Hawaiian families are coming to live there between Honolulu and Akaka Falls. And I'm so excited. I'm going to have a birthing center there. But what I really want is for that land to be designed for them like a a'apua'a. I want organic farming. I want them to live happily. I don't want them to be slapped with a $350 loan to get a house. I mean, you guys.
Mahalo, mahalo.
It's enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Susan Rosier. R-O-S-I-E-R. Thank you for being the new guy on the block and showing up over here. And thank all the rest of you guys who they set out here as patsies to take the guff. Because I know that all of that tonight's been real. And so when they're saying you, they don't mean you. Because all you guys are doing your job the best that you can. And I'm sure that you're going to be doing your job better because now you've heard their heart. I thought a lot about what I was going to say that I haven't said already or that hadn't been said already. So I started looking through some things, and I looked up the public access plan notes from the DLNR, because that kind of supposed to have steered you folks into your actions. So I thought I'd read a couple of things from there, because your rules that you came out with are exactly like this lady said. She said that she represents business in the Chamber of Commerce, and she sat on the committee, and the rules to her are exactly what they ask you for in response to trouble on the Mauna. So you have a business perspective, and you're not a business. UH is a school. UH, actually, even though they say they were founded during statehood, they were actually founded during the kingdom, and you originally were an agriculture college. DLNR also has their roots in the kingdom, because the Bureau of Agriculture and Forestry was established in 1892, signed by our Queen. And in viewing that, I knew that before, I've told you folks that before, but maybe not you particular folks. I know you've heard it a lot. But somehow you've lost your connection to that, and you think you have no connection to the kingdom. But I'm here to tell you that is wrong. People here have said you're not obeying the law. And listen to this, business people. They're not obeying the law. Since you're so educated and you're into money and stuff, please look up the Organic Act and read it. That's where it all started. And then look up the Statehood Act and all that happened around it. And you will find that this area that we're talking about on Mauna Kea is trust land. Trust land. So I've decided I'm going to study trust law, because obviously the people that have trust, DHHL, DLNR, and you folks who are leasing trust land for your dollar, it's really heavy to put on you, because I'm looking straight at you, because these are clerks over here. But I need you to take the message back to them. The only reason the Supreme Court came out with their verdict on the contested case hearings, and it's stated in there, is because your organization destroyed everything up there so much that one more telescope doesn't matter. And your lawyer said that over and over and over and over in the contested case hearings. And I know because I was there almost every day. And each time he asked one of these people if it was that destroyed, they said no. You know why they said no? Because they know they can fix it. The other side, all the astronomer people, they're like, yeah, it's all destroyed already, because they want to destroy it some more. That's really sad. So I'm sure you folks have heard all the gossip around and what happened with Jen Ruggles, and now what's happening over on Maui County Council. Tune in tomorrow and check it out. And I'm sure that you know that the kingdom never left and is rising rapidly. So each one of you, no matter what your position is, are working for the kingdom. You're working in an organization that was established by the Queen. Just because everybody's not obeying the law doesn't mean diddly. They're all fraudulently acting. You've made it a war zone. A college is making it a war zone. Really? I was an educator. The last thing that we'd want is to educate on that. You want to be educated in war, you go join the army. Not bring it to the Mauna. One thing you should remember, every day I'm in a prayer, a live feed prayer for Mauna Kea. And on that prayer feed are people from all over the globe. You push these rules down the people's throat, people will come from all over the world. It's not what it's going to be what it was before, and you aren't going to push them in some little tiny, like cattle. Your rules have a space for them to go. We're going to put the protesters over here in this corner over here. Bullshit. They're not protesting. They're protecting what is theirs. And if you think the kingdom's not rising, you've got your head in the sand. Because every day, and I've been studying this stuff forever. I have children, I have grandchildren, I have a great-grandchild coming in August. All of them Kanaka. I stand before you saying, this is their land. It's always been their land, and the world recognizes that it is their land. The only ones that don't are the ones that are turning a blind eye, and it's time to open your eyes, and you can change it from within the system. We don't need somebody from the outside to come. Our government is already here. It's just been bastardized. And it needs to turn back correctly. We can start with common law and the 1939 Declaration of Rights and the 1840 Constitution. Everybody read it. Those are the laws. That's what you're supposed to be doing, enforcing kingdom law, not this bullshit. I'll see you on the Mauna.
Next up is Kehaulani La'a, followed by Luana Jones, Nani Pai, Kanoi Uluvehi Anuhea Case.
Oh, aloha kako. We're 2 hours into the meeting, and I don't even know who you are. Alapaki introduced himself. Who are you? Please. I was raised to know who I'm speaking to and back. Can we find out who we are? Is that not allowed?
Suki. I'm just the translator. I'm Ha'alilio Solomon. I'm the translator. Mahalo.
Jessica, keep the court recorder.
Mahalo. And please don't tie me yet because, you know, we're doing introductions here. Thank you, love.
I'm Jesse Suki. I'm staff helping out.
Central Ogisha, also staff.
Aloha.
Don Pomeroy, Office of Mauna Kea Messaging.
Mahalo. Did anybody know these people besides Alapaki? I didn't. I'm sorry. I was raised to ask, you know who I'm talking to. Now that I've met you, don't take this personally, but take it personally. I am going to face my back. I'm being rude. 126 years of being rude to us. They're teaching me well. They're teaching us well. I wasn't raised like this. This is bloody rude. Even though I'm talking to them, my back to them. They're not listening. I don't care what agency, anybody, any entity involved with the state is not listening to us. And it hurts. We've talked about it. Every single speaker before me has poured out their now. And if these people and the agencies they're representing, not these guys personally, even though they have it in their heart to stop and listen and make a change, a small change, do like Jen Ruggles did and say, question it. Hey, what's going on? Is this legal or what? You know, question it. So people behind me, don't take this personally, but do. Because I'm taking it personally. Why do I have to explain and apologize to my keiki, 2 still left at home, 16 and 15, and my mo'opuna? Why do I have to apologize to them for being Kanaka, for loving my land, for loving our oceans? And if you folks see the timer over here, just raise your hand. I'm going to ignore her too, okay? Just saying. I love her, but I got to ignore her. They say we anti-science. Come on. We all know better. Instead of the future, the astro whatevers, you like, look, the past. Stop. We over here are looking at, oh my God, the oceans are a mess. Oh my God, our rivers are dying, our land. How many how many of our plant species extinct, and how many short time of a year? Enough telescopes, more microscopes. I'm for that. Enough already. What this is happening is not Pono, they know it. The entity that rules and governs them knows it. But every one of you here with your heart, you guys know the answer. And this is not it. And if you can't tell by now, I oppose. Just let you know, I oppose anything they do. They don't belong. I will see you on the Mauna. Mahalo.
Aloha mai kākou. I guess I should say I represent my family. I represent many families in Puna. I represent some of my family and friends on other islands. And I'm here to also represent the Mauna. I take no pleasure in being here. There's so much that I need to be about, but I'm here to give a testimony in opposition to the rules, and you've heard many, many, many reasons why. But I also want to share that We're living in interesting times. You know, we're raising the generations with the truth. We're an illegally occupied nation. We have every legal right to our nationhood. And our children are growing up knowing this. There's thousands of them. And this is just the beginning of what hopefully is going to be a great thing in Hawaii. And you have an opportunity, or I don't know, the opposite of opportunity, of serving the people in the future of Hawaii, depending on what you do. And we definitely need some regulation of the Mauna, and starting with the telescopes. You know, they, one of the kupuna in Puna, she's on the other side now, but she shared, and very simply, she said, in regarding Mauna Kea, you tell them, if they like put more, then show us good faith. Take some down. And that's my message. Take some down. And until then, you know, normally I have no interest to go up there because I have plenty to do elsewhere. But for the sake of the Mauna, I and hundreds like me will be up there to protect the Mauna Kea. Mahalo.
You know, I had to write things down because as I was reading the rules, I couldn't believe some of the things that I read. And so I had to write them down and look at them and study them and think to myself, what in the world? What were they thinking? So before I get started, I want to tell you a little story of how I got to meet many of the people in this room. During the contested case hearing, there was a call for people to bring healthy food for our kupuna, because what was happening is they were coming every day to testify, and they were eating convenience foods and just grabbing whatever they could. And a lot of it was not pono. It wasn't aipono at all. So in my small way, I would start bringing healthy choices. And it was amazing. Our community out there was just amazing, because every day somebody, or many people I should say, came and brought food for all. No questions. You there, you eat. And it was really, really good. And what a variety. So that's how I met many of the people who are sitting here, who have come and testified, and other people who are sitting here that I've heard testify prior, and perhaps are going to give testimony in written form. Anyway, I want to start with, because I know I'm going to run out of time, 2026-3, applicability and implementation. So please, I'm trying to, I wrote it all down verbatim so that I wouldn't miss anything. These rules shall apply to all public activities and commercial activities in the UH management areas as defined in these rules. I don't know, many of you have read the rules, but perhaps some of you have not. These rules, this is the important part, do not apply to education and research activities and support functions carried out by the university, persons under an agreement with the university, government entities under an agreement with the university. Hello? What separates us? Nothing. Nothing. So why is the public treated any different? Why are we, Kanaka Maoli, discriminated against? Because as you read through, you're going to find many examples of discrimination. So I have 2 words, and you're going to find that these 2 words are at the basis of all conflict: power and greed. If you think about it, not only with the Mauna, but with all issues, power and greed. The second thing is, where overlapping jurisdiction within UH management areas are present, including but not limited to DLNR administrative rules pertaining to conservation districts, forest reserves, historic preservation, hunting and natural area reserves, those rules shall govern. Hello, who died and made the university the overseer of all that happens? Nobody. In other words, these proposed rules will supersede the rules governing conservation districts, forest reserves, and historic preservation. See, they want to remove all the obstacles, right? That's really what it is. So that they don't have to go back to court and have another hearing. What it points out to me is permits for building in conservation areas of any kind should be totally banned. Totally. UH failed to meet their own criteria in the CMP. Did you know that? They didn't even meet their own criteria. Hello. And now they want to totally disregard the rules that would protect conservation district areas. Ole. Next, I thought this was interesting because I guess they felt like they had to put this in. Native Hawaiian traditional and customary rights as recognized and protected under Article 12, Section 7 of the Hawaii State Constitution shall not be abridged. Ha! They say that, they write it, but all of the things that are part of the rules are diametrically opposed to that. I mean, do they think we're stupid? I don't know. Who are they trying to fool? Many of these proposed rules will directly impact cultural practitioners on the Mauna. 2026-4, consistency with other rules. So in case you didn't get that last part, they say it again in a different way. It actually regurgitates 2026-3, Section C. And the last thing I want to say, because I know I only have 3 minutes, and oh my gosh. 2026-8, delegation of authority. The board delegates its authority to administer this chapter to the president, who may further delegate that authority to a designee. Huh? You know, many of you mentioned the analogy of the fox in the hen house. That's it. So if this means Dr. Lassner is going to be calling the shots, or some appointee of his, I say, oh, Ole, he is far from being the person that should do that. I'm sorry he's not here, actually. I wish he was. But remember that power and greed, every conflict is about power and greed. Yeah. So, mahalo.
Kanoe Uluvehi Anuhea case, followed by Bron.
It's been a long time behind a mic and in front of a lot of people. Aloha mai kako o kanoe ko uinoa, kanoe Uluvehi Anuhea ko uinoa case. Me. ole mai hila hila. O Emma ko inoa. Oh, okay. So we're here today to share a little bit of our story. I know time is limited, so if I could please ask for two, as I'm speaking for my keiki. Okay. So my ohana is from Waimea. I was born and raised out in Pukapu on the foothills of our Mauna. Not only have I been raised and everything of my life there, I also swam in the waters of Anaiho Omalu as a keiki from Emma's age all the way up to a teenager. So I also not only played on the foothills of our Mauna, I also used to play in the depths of the foothills of our Mauna. And oh, what a beautiful, beautiful thing it is to have that, because life and its struggles, it always comes back to those sources where we can go back and remember those things. So another personal story I need to share, just don't want to rush, but I guess I got to rush, is my Emma in 2011 was the first contested case hearing, and I was called back. Called back not by persons, but spiritually to join in with our Mauna. And that call specifically came, I believe, from our deities on our Mauna, as they were calling on many persons in our ohana. Yes, so specifically, Mo'oinania is our guardian of our lake, Vaiao. And so I attended that contested case hearing first time with my cousins, and Emma was in my belly 7 months old. Following that, 2 years later, we went through it. We stood on the side of the roads. We did a lot of things. We took groups up to the Mauna. We went to the lake. We visited. We took, oh, it was such a joyous thing. I actually got this as a gift from one of the Bear Claw tribe members, Blackfoot, for taking the boys up there for international exchange program. And they visited the lake, and it was beautiful. And so I got this gift. But the reason why I speaking about the lake so much is because aya ihea ko piko, Emma kawahi. Aya ihea ko piko. We're gonna have to do this a lot more. So Emma's piko is placed on the Mauna, in the lake, and we're accompanied, and we asked permission. My cousin folks, Pua, Case, and my cousins, we had to ask for permission, and then it was granted. So we did, and in 2013 we placed her piko in Lake Vaiao, and so that's why it's so significant to us. We have not been up there for many of the things that have been going on, and we don't know why, but we're here today. So you may have seen me in the reality, I don't know, but I'm here today, but I have not been. And so sometimes I regret that a lot, but we don't know why, but sometimes spirit, we just listen and we just, whatever. But it's okay, so we're here today, we're sharing the story, yeah? Okay, so moving along, so our mountain is significant, and traditional practices are still being conducted, and it will continue to be conducted. So in regards to the UH administrative rules, in our opposition to this proposed rules by the UH to manage the mountain. In regards to subchapter 2, public activities 2026-21, preservation of resources 2026-34, public safety 2026-38, access 2026-37, camping 2026-41, interference with government function. Subchapter 4, permits and registration of public and commercial activities 2026-61, general provisions 2026-62, group use permits 2026-64, special permits. All of these said rules criminalizes the efforts of our people while we seek to preserve our Mauna. Fines and enforcement seek to deter this said crime, which upon reading through this document that needs to be approved by Lieutenant Governor before enacted into Hawaii Revised Statutes Public Policy, is an act of retaliation more than management to feel the need to punish a people for them standing for their birthright, which is embedded in the footsteps, bones, blood, picos of our ancestors of the Pacifica, not just Hawaii. That is in reference to subchapter 5. Our Mauna was recognized throughout the Pacific as sacred, and it is recognized throughout the world as sacred. These rules are furthermore contradictory to the Conservation District rules, as it has been disregarded as proof of the approval to grant a permit to the TMT corporations and international corporations involved in efforts to expand on the desecration of our Mauna and proceed with the UH Master Plan approved in 2009, which I was in presence there, unfortunately, as a Hawaii Community College secretary, and then following in 2011, I graduated as the Hawaii Community College student government president. It further contradicts UH System's efforts to indigenize the college institution and allows such permitting to promote one of the biggest industries in the state of Hawaii. I have also sat in meetings to indigenize the college system. Why not hold the developers accountable for their actions for not properly managing our Mauna and following their own rules, including UH, instead of punishing the people for being proactive? These proposed administrative rules are unjust to those who seek to protect our Mauna from further overdevelopment and destruction of sacred places such as Shi. These rules are clearly evident to provide protection to those who have permits to construct and those who seek to have permits to be approved for commercial use under the discretion of the UH President to further capitalize on our people and our Aina. These rules are intended not to properly manage a sacred land, sacred kupuna, sacred deity, a story of our creation of an indigenous peoples, but it is intended to instill fear as a tactic upon a peoples whose heart and soul are vested not only in protecting what is sacred and unifying Hawaii communities across the Pai'aina o Hawaii, but a tactic to instill fear within a movement that is occurring across the honua, the world. A movement that seeks to truly be sustainable, preserve what we have left, which humanity has been finally recognizing their part in contributing to the imbalancement of our earth. A movement that seeks a better tomorrow for the next seven generations here on our earth, and not only for our own, but for all. The philosophy of fear is destined. Its destiny is to only create more fear, like a disease, for if you were not fearful yourself, fear would not be a precedent to your solution. In closing, we follow the fathers and mothers of peace and justice, which destiny I choose to follow. My keiki will choose to follow. Our ancestors, we choose not to follow such fear that is imposed on me. We follow our ancestors and our highest powers to be our guide and protect us and our Mauna. Not these man-made rules that are subject to change upon an amendment like dust blowing in the wind with each change of tides. We are the current, and we choose love over power. So let us dwell on the philosophies of love and what you interpret it to be. Because love is the highest vibration on this earth. Therefore, I do not support UH administrative rules to manage our Mauna Awakia. You want to say something? She would like to say something. Yeah. Mahalo. Say mahalo. Thank you. Aloha.
Bronson Keola Kobayashi.
Aloha, everybody. I'm Bronson Keola Kobayashi. Some of you might know me. Haven't been up here in a while, so sorry, I'll try to be fast. I just have a quick question before I start. Do you guys see me? Do you folks see me? Do you see everybody here? there's many more than us that's here tonight. Thousands willing to stand. Millions of our kupuna, our ancestors behind us as well. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to touch on aloha real fast. So yeah, I was on Mauna Kea when we were standing against the telescopes. I'm a little bit nervous, don't mind me. Yeah, so through my time up there, I've been blessed to learn that, learn many things from many people. I've learned that in the face of truth, some people would rather do what they're told than what is right. It's a little easier. Some people care more about a paycheck than their own peace of mind. Can sleep at night using their job as an excuse to ignore their na'au. However, I've also learned that together goals can be achieved and great strength will be procured that shows that anything is possible. I've also learned that aloha is a driving force that cannot be beaten with cruel and unusual punishments, unfair justice, selective prosecution. It's a force that can hold thousands together and give hope. It's a force that teaches others to treat as they would like to be treated with aloha. This treatment cannot continue because it is a darkness that cannot touch the beauty of light that is aloha. I'm grateful for every experience I've gotten to share with these kia'i, good and bad, and I'm so thankful to be able to call these true people my friends. We're going to stay here until the further desecration of this Mauna is no longer a threat. Yeah, I didn't know exactly what to say coming up here, so just wrote something from my na'au. Quick ole from that we learned on the Mauna. Aloha e ka hale, hale o nā tūpuna. Tūpuna i hano hano. Hano hano te tapu 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 nā iwi. Iwi la o ka hiko i ka le. Le ana ku'u aina nani hiva hiva. Hiva hiva e nā mamo o Hawaii. O Hawaii kamaha o nā kanaka. Nā kanaka o iwi a o ku'u iwi e. Don't do this. Mahalo.
I sincerely want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and for the passion and commitment and dedication that was expressed. It matters that folks take time to participate here and in other venues. So mahalo nui. And thank you for those who gave aloha to the staff who are backing up this process. I appreciate you guys for coming over and helping create this forum. So being that there are no further testifiers or comments, I now adjourn this public hearing. The time is 8:07. Please be safe and go with aloha. That sounds mahalo nui. And as a quick reminder, if you are unable to testify orally tonight or you prefer to do it in writing, there are two more public hearings scheduled, one on Hawaii Island tomorrow night, one on Maui. You can also do written testimony online, and email will be accepted until 11:59 Friday, June 7th. You can get more info on the hearing notice, and mahalo nui for offering a pule.